As Leonie's outlined, both campaigns relied on different emotional appeals to voters, but they also offered quite different policy solutions and approaches. In the election, abortion was the issue that Trump really didn't want to talk about, and abortion was central to how Democrats ran their campaign. The Harris campaign foregrounded reproductive rights in particular. It was a centerpiece of how she campaigned this year, and she very much told Americans that Trump was a threat to the future of abortion in the United States. In contrast, Trump and his running mate JD Vance had a slightly muddled approach to abortion. So Trump has spent most of the year identifying as quote unquote the most pro-life president ever, and claiming sole responsibility for the Supreme Court decision that overturned Roe v. Wade 2 years ago. But he also really tried this year to eschew any responsibility for what's happened with the end of Roe v. Wade. So he does not want to be held responsible for the bans in place in more than 20 states across the country. Yet he chose a running mate, JD Vance, who is on record with an array of quite extreme anti-abortion views, including calling for people to be prosecuted for crossing state lines to access abortion, and he'd also in the past expressed support for a federal ban on abortion. So it's worth noting that abortion clearly did matter for American voters. All the way through the election, polling indicated it was a top issue, particularly for women, and although it might seem counterintuitive, the actual election results also tell us it was a top issue, but just not in how people voted for the presidential candidate. So at the state level, there were 10 ballot initiatives that people voted on relating to abortion rights in their state. And of those, 7 supported reproductive rights. In most instances, voters did actually vote for abortion rights, but they voted at the local level. I think what that tells us is that Trump and the Republicans were really successful in persuading voters that since Roe v. Wade had been overturned, there was no role for the federal government in matters of abortion regulation. This is false. There is a very clear way in which abortion rights can be further eroded federally. The people who surround Trump, so Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation, all the anti-abortion groups that surround him, they have a very clear agenda that requires just Trump, not even Congress. And internationally, we also know from Trump's last tenure in the White House, under his auspices, the US will again find common cause with countries around the world that are hostile to abortion rights and to LGBTQI+ rights. And of course, the US will also immediately move to reimpose what's called the global gag rule, which is a policy that Republicans have introduced every time they've been in the White House since 1984. And this prevents public health funding going to services that refer to or talk about abortion. It's very likely that we will again see this really dramatic impact on international ability to provide healthcare in a non-biased, medically informed way.